Yo, what's up?
What's that new opening?
It's new. I added it. Our good friend Chris Rook at Dean Blundell. He added it for us.
What a guy.
Yeah, it's good. It's just different, It's just different. I like it. You like it clearly. So I'm glad we did that. Welcome everybody to the PP1 podcast on the Dean Blundell Network, partnered with our good friends at Summer Skates. I am Ryan Hank. I was 94. We got my boy Ted T3, Ted Wong. He's here. Brady will hopefully get here. We're hoping. He may not. Apparently, Wi-Fi is not treating him well today. So he may or may not be in here. We're ready for him. We are absolutely ready for him as soon as he gets here. But you know what? Like, we gotta get going. I got a bedtime to make. So,
Yeah, we got schedules.
Hey, people gotta eat or something.
Yeah.
We're also look at, like, we're wearing samesies, kind of. So you're wearing like Canada Day one, and I've got like the Cleveland Browns version. Because I mean, who doesn't look good in brown and white on a t-shirt?
I feel ya.
This isn't a football show, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of love for that. That's what we do. We don't have tons to talk about, but we have enough.
There's been some games. Yeah, there's been some stuff going on in the NHL.
The Canucks, they did some winning, and then they did some losing. They did some losing before the winning as well. Home opener for Seattle. That was a lot of fun if you're a Canucks fan and you stuck around for the entire game and didn't, change the channel with like 6 minutes to go. And they beat a team that we'll get into pretty quick here. And then they had like the home opener of all home openers against probably the best team in the NHL today, the Minnesota Wild, and it lived up to the hype. And by that, I mean it was everything we thought it was going to be. It was a snooze fest.
You know what's funny about that game, though? If you go back and watch the highlights on it, it's just like a menagerie of stretch passes.
It was.
And blown coverages. But watching the game, it did not feel like that at all.
But for the highlights. But if you watch the game, it's like, okay, well, someone's got to change the pace here. Like, it wasn't a Canucks game to win. They were playing from behind, and they made it interesting, but they didn't win. So sounds like the Canucks we know and love.
Yeah, it was a very Vancouver last 5 games, right? I mean, you drop what should be easy games to Detroit and Buffalo.
Yeah,
against teams. I mean, far superior rosters to both those squads, I would say. But I mean, just looked bad and generally got outworked, only to come back and beat your arch rivals in the Blackhawks, put up a big W in like an important game in Seattle where that team is hyped up and playing hard.
And it was loud.
It was loud, yeah. And then again, you drop a game you feel like you shouldn't win when you're playing a game like, a team like Minnesota in that style. So it was a very Canuck last 5 games.
It just kind of made me feel like, hey, we're back.
Like, it's the same.
Just awkward. I think we do need to address, obviously, what has been going on, which dropped today. Tough stuff. I think we've all been following what's been going on with Chicago Blackhawks and the sexual assault case of John Doe, who we found out today was Kyle Beach, first-round draft pick. He went right after Cody Hodgson that year, I believe. And I haven't seen the whole interview. I've been away when this all kind of happened. It was, I guess, Rick Westhead on TSN had like a half-hour interview with him. And from everything I've seen, like I've been following on Twitter here tonight, like I honestly, to know how many people knew about this and did nothing, it's frightening. First of all, I mean, you've endangered a human being for the immediate of when it happened, and basically everyone that should have cared did not say something, and enough people knew, apparently, from media to USA Hockey to, like, there's a lot of people that are covered under this umbrella. Gary Bettman, Donald Fair, obviously the Chicago Blackhawks themselves, players, like it goes deep. Like I think it's one of those things where you think they've figured these things out. Like if it were to happen, like the Graham James thing that happened, we talk about Sheldon Kennedy, we talk
It
about
should have been your lesson right there, right?
like how much anything more than one, anything more than zero is a problem. So when one happens and it got, the wheels that it did, that we can spark change. And then you find out in the new NHL where apparently we go from the concussions thing, and obviously we've seen the fighters that have passed away or committed suicide because of everything that's going on in their lives, and reasons, for various reasons why unfortunate things happened. There's all these things. We're trying to better human beings. We're trying to better us as a human race, and then it just absolutely fails, like tenfold. And you hear there's been a lot of talk about, well, this was the Blackhawks. This was on their big run to the Stanley Cup, and
who cares?
I mean, it's sports, but it's sports. I was chatting with a parent tonight at speed skating, and I mean, if this happened, and if this were to happen to the team we talk about, the Vancouver Canucks, I would want the organization to burn to the ground. If I knew that many people knew about this and no one did a thing, like that's, I mean, it's criminal essentially. You've seen stories in the news lately, stuff on the subway that's been going on in New York. People standing by as things are going on. It's a heavy subject, and I'm happy that, I mean, it would be tough to come out as that person, as Kyle Beach, and put yourself out there, because you're vulnerable. You've now opened up, this massive demon that's been just eating away at you, that you feel like nobody's helping you, and you finally had the courage to come out and say what you said. And I mean, all the power to him. I mean, that takes massive strength to do that. Like, if you or I were in that position like that, I mean, you think of just like the stuff we go through on a day-to-day basis, and what it takes to say something. Like, maybe there's stuff going on in your immediate family that you want to say something, and how hard it is to speak out against someone. Like, just the stuff we all go through from day to day, or like if something happened you need to talk about at work, and it seems like you could say something to someone else and be like, well, this is what I would do. What would you actually do? And in this case, it was so bad and no one did a thing.
Yeah, like, it's just so predatory, the whole thing, right? I mean, these are still young people, still trying to find their way. They're part of an organization. They're doing everything they can to get to the NHL. That's what they've done their whole lives. And this isn't just about what happened to Beach. This is anybody who's in some sort of role of power, where they literally hold something over somebody, and your life is in their hands when it comes to a career or a life choice. Mm-hmm. And when you're holding that to somebody, they're banking on the fact that I can take this away from somebody, this opportunity, or this is literally so demeaning and so embarrassing that I'm banking he's not going to say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because like he's that betting bad, this right? Guy's not going to get that point.
Yeah. And
he won't say.
And, incredibly brave. I mean, just so much support out to Kyle Beach right now. Because he did tell somebody and nothing happened. And then he told more people and nothing happened. And here we are 10 years later, and it's an independent investigation, and he's finally getting the traction that he needs to. I mean, this kind of stuff is going to affect him forever. I mean, how does he get closure to something like this? So,
but what a first step, like, to come out and say it, right?
Yeah. And then being listed in the article as John Doe, and then comes out to say, hey, it's
me.
It's me. He's not hiding behind anything. You know what I mean? And I just, NHL, I feel like I have to say this once every couple of years, but like, wake up, NHL, right? I mean, again, everything is reactive, right? There's no, it's almost like, oh, what's the okay, this is our initial stance. Ooh, the backlash is really bad. Maybe we'll do a little bit more, right? Let's save face here. But I mean, if your organizations aren't taking care of these young people who are influenced and vulnerable, whether they feel like it or not,
Yeah.
then the NHL needs to step in and do something about it. And if that means, in the words of a good friend of mine, taking all these assholes and firing them off to the sun, then do it. Like, there needs to be severe, severe, severe repercussions for this, because the thing that happens with teams like Florida or Winnipeg or whoever else is employing these people that were all in head offices now, if they're still there later,
Nothing's
and then
changed.
this includes the Chicago organization, obviously.
Yeah.
But if they're still there now, then nothing's changed. And all you're saying to all of these people is that dollars and W's mean more.
And
And
so far,
I think that's just ridiculous.
And
Like,
so far, that's what's been said, right? And you see yesterday, I think the league came down. Oh, we're going to fine them $2 million. The Blackhawks, $2 million. Stan Bowman has resigned, and McDonough is, or step aside. Bowman for USA Hockey is not they're going through all these like the hockey stuff, like, oh, okay, well, you guys, this is pretty bad, so we need to part ways with our GM and our coach. We're gonna have to get someone else. Like, yeah.
no, man, I feel like
Let's start there. Let's make that a bullet point. But how about we focus on the bigger picture and screw hockey right now?
Yeah, you gotta I mean, another friend of mine we were talking about this too, and it's like, he's thinking like, man, like, I'm worried that this is probably just gonna all blow over, and wear a Tom Wilson knee on knee from everybody talking about that instead of this. And the NHL seems like the kind of, like, I'm just so done with the up and down and wishy-washiness of the NHL, and just being so reactive to all this stuff instead of being proactive about it. And I know that's like a really like a buzz term or whatever, but like, it's just so frustrating. Do you know what I mean? Like, what, $2 million? Like, okay, great. That's the wages of 2 fourth line players in the NHL, or maybe
Or
one
one.
fourth liner in Vancouver. But like, none of it is, I mean, I'm almost thinking like, what should happen? And it's not just because it's Chicago, right? I mean, this is,
Who cares what team
who
it is?
cares who it is?
Maybe a
But
minor league team.
what I always think back to, like those 30 for 30s. You ever watch those? And there was the death sentence of SMU. Do you remember that one? Like,
Yeah.
NCAA, SMU, college scandal, cheating, paying players out, team is on the run. They got the axe basically, and got all of their abilities to recruit and sign and bring players in. And the franchise took decades to recover.
Penn State.
I mean, literally, just
like, that was what, less than 10 years ago?
Like, and that was
like
that was bad.
Yeah, but this is what's the difference?
There's no difference.
Yeah, there's
absolutely no difference. It's just as bad, and the most awful thing needs to happen to this franchise and these people.
Mm-hmm. There's gonna be more that's gonna come out from this. There will be, I think that the unfortunate thing is, like, we're all looking at this like, okay, well, so and so is going to get fired, and so, like, these people need to like lose their jobs. Stuff.
Joe Quenneville is coaching tonight. He's coaching on the bench tonight.
But like, we're looking at even at that point, and we're thinking like, okay, well, these guys need to lose their jobs. Yeah, okay, let's start there. And then how about we take it a step further and think, you need to be actually accountable on the other side, like the rest of us would be if we happen to have been in a situation. If you commit a crime in real life away from sports and the dream world that a lot of these guys get to live in, what happens? You pay for your punishment, or you get punished for what you've done. So whether that's criminal, jail time, or jail time plus other things or whatever, like, it is criminal. What happened was criminal, and they're trying to make this as like, this will get dealt with eventually, and if we do the right things, maybe we can learn from this. No,
it's just cover-ups abound, right? I mean, Dean, our Dean Blundell,
mm-hmm.
was chirping about this earlier. Like, Sportsnet wasn't even reporting on it.
It's because the Leafs were on.
Yeah,
because the Leafs were playing the Blackhawks.
But it's like they have
Matthews scored in overtime, didn't he?
They have a relationship with the NHL. There's buy-ins, there's stuff like that going on, and then their mum on it. Do you know what I mean? Any news that you wanted early on in this, they are now, but any news that you wanted early on in this thing was coming from TSN.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad look, so don't say anything. Like, what the fuck, man?
It doesn't work that way.
Well, apparently it does, which is the sickening part.
Exactly. It shouldn't though. It doesn't work. Like, reality shouldn't work that way.
No.
It's such a bigger thing, but you know, it'll be the big story when you see the 10 o'clock sports news start. And that's it. And then that'll get maybe 10 minutes of play. And then, oh, well, all right. And I mean, yes, I know it's sports and they'll eventually have to get to the other stuff. I know that's how it works. And then, wow, speaking of, here's the Leafs and Blackhawks tonight, and, you know, ended in overtime and the Leafs win. And like, sometimes, like, hey, yes, there are highlights. We're going to show you the highlights a little bit later. This goes as long as we need it to go. And then we're going to show you the other stuff.
And it's the same shit, man. Like, there's all this stuff. People are surprised, like, oh, I can't believe that it got covered up for this long. We're literally only a few months away from this whole thing going down with Hakeem Aliu. Exact same thing, exact same story, exact same cover-ups, same type of people, same sort of retribution.
Yep.
And we're trying to evoke change in what's going on.
Yeah. And then what's happened since then? Nothing. But here's the thing. You know what? Props to Rick Westhead and is it Katie Strang, I think, right? That have been kind of following this and keeping this live, essentially, updated. And they said it was going to keep going and that it was going to get opened up. And it did. It opened up. And now we know. And
now we know.
Thankfully, there were people that were willing to seek the truth. I think that's, like, you look at journalism and, like, this is, you don't want to hear these stories, but you want to know, like, if this is out there, like, it needs to come to light. And I don't know if you saw the post gamer for the Blackhawks, and they had Taves on there. Check Twitter, folks. See what that's like. See what Mr. Taves had to say. And
I haven't watched it yet.
It's a quick little snippet. I'm just trying to see if I can see a quick thing here, but basically, it's not good. Like, it carries forward. So now we know that players, again, you know, I'm not going to speak for this guy. You know what? You have an opportunity to make the change. Like the Black Lives Matter movement that was carried out. There were people that actually did speak out from the players, and they stood together. And I think that will continue, and you see more and more players kind of joining together. You know, I think the ones that want to see change, and something like this is where you can actually say, listen, man, like, I am with you. And even if you knew and you didn't say something, it isn't always too late. Sometimes you can say, listen, I realize I had no idea what was going on, and I wanted to protect things. I was scared. I didn't know what to do, and I'm realizing that, I mean, hey, we have awakening moments at weird times. And unfortunately, even if it's too late, you can still say something and you can actually fight for a change at that point. And it may involve you suffering a little bit too. But you can still say, you know what? I screwed up too by not saying anything. But now I am, and I need to be ahead of this because I don't want to continue to be part of the problem. And that's what it's going to be. And until there are people that want to change this, anybody that did know and just kind of leaves it alone, it's still part of the problem. It is. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I can only imagine, like, you look from, you know, the U.S. gymnastics team, and you look at Simone Biles, and I mean, for her to step away during the Olympics in a sport where they started creating names, they named moves and whatever after her because that was the only thing they could do because she was so much better than everyone else. And for her to step aside because she wanted to invoke change, because she needed, is it Larry Nassar was his name from the gymnastics team? Like, she wanted that to get the proper publicity, that what was going on was so wrong. And if you've seen that documentary, oh my goodness,
it's bad. It's bad.
So, like, people they're trying. And the people that have been affected, like, why should they have to live with this alone? First of all, if it's happened, I mean, that's the absolute worst part. But why should they have to be by themselves? Why can't they have people surrounding them to support them and build them up again? It would be tough, but why not? Why not give these people an opportunity to live as normal of a life as possible, but build them up? Like that, isn't that the point?
Well said.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Anyway, we could probably talk an hour about this. And I will do my best to transition to actual Canucks stuff and what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about the Canucks. Their season didn't start so great, which is normal. It's normal. We're used to it. I mean, I've been used to it my entire life, aside from those handful of years when we had Luongo and the Sedins and Ryan Kessler Bros. But I digress. They were going for 3. They were going for 3 wins in a row, and I forgot they had won 2. And then that good old home opener came, and thankfully the Minnesota Wild helped the Canucks bore everybody to death. We recorded a fantasy football show while the third period was going on. And I looked, I'm like, oh, they're making it close. It's over. Okay. And we continued. That was
every time I looked up, because I was doing this a lot while we were recording, Kevin Fiala had the puck.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, Bo Horvat. I mean, this guy wants this team to win so bad. And it seems like he's the only guy actually making a difference on this team right now. I don't buy that Elias Pettersson needs more time to get into a groove. You're getting ice time. You should, I mean, nothing's changed unless you're coming over some kind of a soreness still. Brock Besser,
he had some moments though.
Yeah, moments though.
That pass to why can't I remember his name? Chason.
Oh, yeah, that was. I mean,
like that was like vintage PD. If you can say vintage after this many years, I'm not sure. That was the right term. That's right. Yeah, that was vintage PD. Like not only PD, but so few guys on this roster do that with such fluidity and ease that you would expect something like that to happen. And I still like Chason as a legit net front presence.
Right? Oh, absolutely. I mean, no, we can't water him down. Like he's
big, and if he continues to get this power play time and opportunity, the guy could score 15 goals this year. It wouldn't be out of the question, and that's a real nice find for a guy on a pro tryout contract. So that was my, Brock missing.
Oh,
top corner
twice.
Ugh, that's tough.
I mean, that's like snake bite stuff,
but
right?
He's taken that shot again, right? Before he might not have let that shot go because the wrister wasn't there. It's clearly back now. He's just got to dial it in. So there was some things to like about that. Demko looked really solid. The Poolman and Hughes pairing did some good things, but then it also did some things like why is Poolman not hanging back on that one like that? How does that guy get that open? And I understand that he come off sort of unnoticed on that far side, but when you got a guy up there roving, you're supposed to have one guy that's sort of just managing the boat, right? So that's a bit on him. And it was a fun game. If we go back to one more game a little bit further, the Kraken game was a ton of fun. And I think to me, the defining moment for that game was the Connor Garland goal. Because I don't know if you watched the post game, there's a fan like hard chirping Garland the whole time.
Yeah,
hard chirping him. He never even imagined that he was there. Like he wasn't giving him any time of day. There was no green man outside the box like chirping another player and then saying bring it, right? Just chirping him the whole time. Then he goes out there and scores that goal. And he's such a motor when he's out there, and he just stares him down. Like it was like maybe worse than a PD stare down.
Because it was kind of creepy. Like it wasn't like awkward. It was like, is he mad? Is he gonna hurt me?
And he just stared at him. And she was like, I heard you.
And all that beard.
And then the other guy, and then the dude is like when you're driving, right, and you kind of cut somebody off, and then he pulls up beside you. And you're like, and you can tell he's staring at you, and all you can do is look forward past your steering wheel. That was like, that dude.
Oh, I'm just gonna wait for this green light to go anytime now. Yeah, absolutely. Give the Seattle Kraken a lot of credit. It was the equivalent of a Seahawks game in there, but for hockey. It was loud. It was everything that the Pacific Northwest basically said was going to happen. And you and I have both been to Seahawks games. It is an electric atmosphere. It is so, so loud. And right from the get-go, they were loud. And you could hear it at home.
Seattle fans know what's up, man. They really do. Like, it's almost like they took the Sonics away from them and they were like, no, we actually do love our teams. And then everything started going crazy. It wasn't like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
too soon.
I mean, like if you ever like a Sounders game or whatever, like like man, they're so good. Those fans they're great. They're passionate. They're going to be an absolute handful when Seattle games start coming to Vancouver. And there's traveling fans because that Seattle travels well. T-Birds, same thing when they're out here in Kelowna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They're a little rabid, and there's not many of them, but like you get a hate on for those guys.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. The one thing I noticed, like the longer that game went on, I thought, man, these guys get it. And I know it was the home opener, and you're going to see a lot, but I can't remember if I've seen a game since then, but it's a feeling in there. And I think knowing what they bring, like you were saying, in the other sports as well, I think there's something there. And I think if they get good, if they're in the mix, if they're relevant this season, which you kind of hope they will be, but if they're right in the mix and they're relevant this season, it's gonna sound like that every single game. And Vegas was kind of the same way when they were when they first started. And again, having been there, it is loud. Like it's start to finish. So knowing how Seattle fans can get with any of their sports teams, I really hope that they knock this out of the park, because it's a lot of fun. And especially, the way that game ended, was it 4 minutes left in the game and we get the go-ahead goal?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it changed everything on a dime. And it went from rowdy and raucous and like just an absolute barn burner. And you could have heard a pin drop in that building after. Like, it was night and day different. And that was awesome. It was so great, because what do? Like, they deflated the whole building in a heartbeat.
Well, it's great because that building is it might already be the loudest building in the NHL.
It's crazy.
Who knows? Might already be. So those fans look superhuman, but then they show that they're also human too, which was great.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. Like it had kind of a little bit of everything. And I think once you start seeing the back and forth, like you said, for Vancouver and Seattle, I mean, there might be a rivalry there, not a forced one.
No, it will be forced.
Well,
it'll be force fed. It'll be spoon fed, and it'll be cultivated, and it'll be like some little petri dish from grade 10, and that thing is going to get out of control.
This is Jurassic Park, basically.
Yeah, it's a Carnoraptor.
We're gonna wrap it in amber. We're gonna build a rivalry 200 million years from now. Speaking of, you mentioned this man. I have a question. What are the Canucks without Thatcher Demko? Like, it's early.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tucker Poolman.
I wasn't going to say Tucker Poolman at all, actually. At all. Probably that'll be the last time I mention his name. Where are the Canucks without Thatcher Demko this season? This is what I'd like to know.
I mean, they're not in a great place, but this has been Vancouver for the last decade or more.
But they've had a guy to keep him there. Like, what if it gets worse? Yeah,
they've just been continuing to cultivate nice goaltending, right? I mean, whether it's Eddie Lack or Ryan Miller, or going all the way back to Luongo and previous to him, Schneider moving along, right? I mean, Jacob Markstrom was like, I mean, a guy with a pedigree coming in, second round draft pick, like, has issues, needs to work on them, gets a goaltending coach, shows that he's an all-star, signs a humongous contract somewhere else, next man up, Thatcher Demko, here we go. It makes you feel good about the way that this team brings goaltending along, and obviously the commitment that they put towards it. Because, before Ian Clark, it was Rolly Melanson, right? I mean, so they're spending money in areas where obviously it's making a difference, right? So it makes you feel good that, Silov's just got his first shutout in Abbotsford the other night. I mean, big, tall, lanky, super athletic goaltender. These are this blank canvas players that goaltending coaches just love so much, right? And Mikey DiPietro, same idea, right? I mean, as athletic as he is, he's a smaller guy, but he's so composed where you feel good about what the future could be. And that future was Thatcher Demko just a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it's so nice to see. It's great when you see guys come up drafted through the system, platoon into spot duty and then come into 50-50. And then the next guy moves on and he takes over more of the lion's share. And then the year after that, and this happens all the time, the year after that, it's like, okay, you're the man now, right? And it's like he's could get 60 starts this year. And I'm happy to see that he looks like the type of goaltender that's going to be able to run with that. So yeah, I'm super stoked about Thatcher Demko and the work that he's putting in already, because he looks like he looks like a guy who could be a franchise goaltender. What else could you want?
Those couple 5-alarm saves he made, the glove save, and then kind of the side to side on the 2-on-1 there. Not every hey, the goalies make pretty good saves from time to time. If you're in the NHL, you've done enough that you've proven that you're pretty decent.
Yeah,
but there are also the guys that can do it consistently. And if things aren't going your way, you've got this guy in the net that he's going to bail you out from time to time. And yeah, he let in the 5-hole goal to start. 5-hole's not a fun spot all the time, but it happens.
It's like pitching, right?
Yeah.
There's tons of guys who can throw the ball hard, and there's tons of guys who have great stuff, and there's consistency issues, right? Mm-hmm. Had a bad start, couldn't locate, or like I threw hard for a few innings and then got tagged because this guy could hit the fastball.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't working the curveball this time, right? But then you have like those few pitchers that are just like they're better than anybody that's faster than them, and they're faster than anybody that's better than them.
Yeah.
And then if you tie that all into this mental factor that they just don't break down and they're just so consistent and they're ice cold in there, that's when you find those elite guys. And I feel like Demko could be that guy. And it looks like anybody who plays under Clark right now always seems to dial in their mental game. And I think that's such a good thing that Clark brings to this team.
It's the others, like you were saying, spending money, right? And that's a guy that's money. Forget about the guys that are on the ice. Like, they're important, but you need the guys behind the scenes. Yeah. There you go. A little bit of money Manziel, right? Remember that? That was a good year.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, didn't work out so well. But yeah, spending money in those areas, it's important. Or we brought this up before, sleep doctors and those sorts of things. They do matter, and you may not see the tangible version of it on the ice, but eventually you'll see the tangible version where, hey, because of all these things, this is why they're playing well, or this is why the goaltenders are square all the time, and why they don't have to try as hard. And when they do try really hard, the desperation saves aren't as desperate as we'd believe them to be. So
yeah, that's always the thing, right? And not to just keep dragging this on, but
we can.
You hear so many coaches say he's so athletic and he's so quick and fast that I want to teach him stability to make his moves more economical. But you don't want to coach the athleticism out of players, right? You still want to have this is just another tool that you're adding to your toolkit. And then when you need to pull out that last minute desperation saves, you're a guy that can actually do that. And that's what a lot of these goaltenders can do.
Well said. I don't know if you saw in our group chat today, kind of was going to throw a curveball at you. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but non-hockey related, aside from one episode of this, you remember like Monster Garage and OCC?
What was his name? Jesse
Pimp
James.
My Ride. Yeah, and Pimp My Ride. So
didn't I just bring Pimp My Ride up the other day?
I think you did.
Oh yeah, what's Everett, the Seattle tight end?
Right. Yeah.
Whenever I look at him, all I can think of is he's gonna pimp my ride.
Yeah. So I was thinking, remember when Monster Garage came out and they did that? I can't remember if it was like an Eldorado or something, turned it into a Zamboni.
I mean, I don't, but it sounds like something they would do.
It sounds like something. So going back, you think, what of the three? Did you watch all three of those?
All three? Yeah, I mean, I watched Pimp My Ride and stuff. I watched a little bit of Monster Garage. What was the other one?
Orange County Choppers.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you got to pick.
Single-handedly brought back ripped plaid sleeveless shirts and old school wrap dye sunnies.
Not that we have those at all. You got to bring one of those shows back. Which one do you bring back?
Oh boy!
But they revamp it and make it better. Because they all kind of have their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, very different things.
I mean, Pimp My Ride is essentially still going, right? Didn't they do like a show that was like inside Pimp My Ride, like the garage and stuff like that? Like that guy's still out there making big money. I don't know, probably Monster Garage.
That's what I was feeling too.
Yeah.
Like freaking like, you know, the Frankenstein's monster, essentially any vehicle, and like turn it into something like, I want to see you turn that Tesla into a bulldozer.
You know, I was thinking this a little while back. Like I was thinking about like, oh, like what types of, I used to really like watching like BattleBots when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I was looking around and I was shocked to find out that BattleBots has been going strong for like the last I don't know how many years. And it's
insane.
Like Chris Rose is like doing all the commentary for it.
And
like,
really?
Yeah, Chris Rose and Kenny Florian.
No,
and it's meant like those guys are good. Like they're calling it like UFC fights. It's hilarious. So
like, oh, I kill him. Like,
yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
thing is, wouldn't
Chris
you
Rose
love
such
to
a spaz, right?
Wouldn't you love to call that though? To call
it a
BattleBots match. Oh, yeah. I brought up the flamethrower and chainmail, and I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let's take this. Let's bring this and then we can wrap up on this segment here. Let's take the Canucks for example.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think? So I was going to go the whole Monster Garage thing, but clearly we took a turn here. You put two Canucks against each other in BattleBots. Who's going to probably have like the coolest BattleBot, and who's going to have the one that and basically beats all? So who's going to come out with like the flashiest, like, wow, that thing looks like it would just shred, but maybe sucks? And then who's going to have the one that actually wins it all? It's got weird, and I love it.
I'm gonna say, because I mean, it's just out of pure weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Jovo would have like a ridiculous BattleBot, and if it's any like Jovo, you know, it would be strong and it would be fast, and he'd have like all these like super skills that you didn't think like a bot would have, right? Would do things that you wouldn't expect that type of bot to do, maybe. And I feel really silly talking about, but the best thing about Jovo was he's just a bit wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching Jovo fight.
Yeah.
Like Adam Deadmarsh comes to mind. Poor Adam.
Sorry about
that. But I mean, he was just, the guy, I always felt like Jovo could just play whatever position you needed him to. Like, hey, Jovo, we need you to play wing for like 20 games. Can you do that? I mean, the guy scored like all of his goals down by the net, right? So, yeah, I mean, he was just like
versatile. Just
like an athlete. Versatile, yeah. So I'd say
you're going old Canucks.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I guess I'm gonna have to go. And I know, so you've got Jovo as like your, like the guy that's gonna win it all.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Why not? If I was allowed to pick any Canuck, I'd just go with Jovo.
So I was thinking about this immediate roster, but you know what? I'm gonna go old school. I'm also gonna go a defenseman. And I think I have you beat here. Like, if we had to make this actually happen, I think Kevin Bieksa would own it. Because first of all, he's smart. You know?
That would have been my second pick.
He's a smart dude. And he's, I mean, clearly kind of crazy. Knocked out his own teammate in a parking lot and got a job because of it. So he's got that. He's also got, like, I feel
like a Fedorov bot.
Yeah. He kind of has, like, he'd come in there and be like, he's going to have something in there that you would have never thought to add on one of these machines, but it's just like insanely destructible.
Like when you go to fight him, you're not expecting to get tagged with a Superman punch.
Exactly. Like you're looking like it's, I don't know, like a wedge, you know, those ones that's just like the wedge and you're like, that guy's winning. And you don't know why, but you're like, it's too stupid. And yet I know it's going to like, he's going to like shovel the guy, flip him over, and that's the end. So it's like he would come in with like a wedge, but you're expecting that to happen. And then all of a sudden, like he like flips on his back and then it's like the craziest chainsaw, like sparking whatever thing. And it like pulls you in with like a winch and then it like shreds every piece of metal on your BattleBot.
You have the weirdest mind.
I know. You're welcome.
I don't know where you come up with this stuff, but
I don't even. I just. It's in here. What can I say? What can I say? That's where I'm at. That was a lot of fun. We don't have a lot this week. I was going to bring in Bo Horvat, but you know what? Let's save it for this.
Dude, what does mine say? You guys! Dude, what does mine say?
And you're not expecting that bomb at the end. You're just not. That's the Kevin Bieksa of promo clips.
That's basically a fun one. Our other podcast, that helps nobody fantasy football podcast. Every time you play Tuesdays at 9:00, every time you play the opening with the Tom Brady, let's go! It like gets me every time. Like it scares me. It scares me every time. I always forget.
Great job on that, Brady. As usual, I have to give you credit. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
How do we be?
So, dudes and guys, you know the drill, folks. No one's. We should almost get other people's dudes and guys. Like you see these other podcasts, they ask questions. Screw that. I think we need to find out who everyone else's dudes and guys are, because I feel like we're leaving money on the table, basically, right? Like I feel like this is an untapped resource. So first and foremost, we're gonna get the ugly out of the way. Who was your guy this past week? You can do the low-hanging fruit. You can.
Well, I'm going to take some low-hanging fruit on this one. I'm going to take Tucker Poolman for this because that stretch pass when him and Hughes are skating up the ice, I feel like somebody should have had eyes on that. And if somebody did have to have eyes on that, I don't feel like it's Hughes' responsibility to have a guy's eyes on that. So,
sure.
You know what? He doesn't score that goal. It's probably a different game. And I'm nitpicking on one specific spot, because if I could pick a guy, I could probably say the whole team in either that Detroit or Buffalo game. Yeah. But I'm going to pick on one person specifically on one specific play, and it's going to be Tucker Poolman.
There you go. That's
cool,
fair.
Man.
Cool, man.
Cool, man.
I'm going to go Jack Rathbone. I felt that, especially probably, I mean, dude's learning the game, and I get that. This is a segment that we have to throw somebody down and make them accountable on this not so great team quite yet. But I mean, he didn't have a great game.
Still learning. He's playing high school hockey 2 years ago.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true. And he's now playing in the professional men's league with Quinn Hughes. He made a couple boneheaded mistakes in that Minnesota game. I just found that maybe his placement wasn't quite there. Maybe rushing a few plays as well. Again, we're not all going to be Quinn Hughes, where the worst play is like, hey, why didn't you ride the line here? Why didn't you pinch here? Like, we view these players differently because of what they bring already. So a guy like Jack Rathbone, I think he's shown a lot already. And I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. And now that they get this home stretch, I think a lot of it too is, certain guys like just getting practices now that they've had games, so they can work on things that have gone wrong or things they can improve on things that they have done well. So Jack Rathbone, I'm giving you guy status for this week only because I gave Pettersson guy status last week, and I don't want to pile on. I need PD to get better. So I do have to put you in that spot. So I'm sorry, but I know you can be better. And you know what?
Guy.
You're going to probably score. You're probably going to score against the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow.
We hope so. Yeah.
And all will be forgiven. That's how this show works. I'm very easy to forget and forgive. So that's me.
We almost have to be, right?
That's me. The fun times. You get to have the fun times first.
Oh, me first?
Yeah, and again, you can take the low-hanging fruit because there is one obvious option. Actually, there's probably two.
There's a couple.
But I'm going to give it to you because I'm a nice guy.
Well, nice guy, Ryan.
Nice guys finish last.
I'm gonna take he of the mean mug, Connor Garland.
Love that guy.
7 points in 6 games. He's got 3 goals already. Continually notice him out there. Looks dangerous. pretty much every time that line's out on the ice. Just the work rate, keeps going. He's already the amount of penalties that this guy draws too is just like, I mean, between him and Höglander, I mean, there's some power plays coming this team's way. So I think was it goals for expectancy right now? Vancouver is ranked 32nd in the league. And they're going to need a guy like Connor Garland to keep rolling here. Cause if it's him, he's an absolute piss missile.
He is.
Because if he's the guy that's leading your team right now, leading the charge, it shouldn't be on him to lead the charge. I'm glad that somebody is, but there's better, in quotations, better players, more established players, maybe not more established because he's pretty established himself, but guys who should be carrying the mill a little bit more. So once we can get all these guys firing and Garland's still going, this can be there could be some serious offense here, but other guys have to step up because wee man Connor is fucking getting it done right now.
He's just he's small, but just there's so much in there.
Yeah, you just think about how much a guy like Höglander can draw from Connor Garland.
Maybe
right? How to play low.
He needs a beard.
Tricks of the trade that you can have in corners and stuff like that. When to go in, when not to go in.
Yeah.
How to utilize that size because they're very similar in height. I think Höglander's got probably 20 pounds on him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if he can get in his ear a little bit, then man, we could see some cool stuff. I'm excited for the potential growth from Höglander on this as well.
You know that commercial? I think it was it a Geico commercial or maybe it's Allstate, where the two guys are at the stoplight. Like, you want to go? You want to go, bro? Like, you want to go? He's like, no, man, I'm good. Like, just freaking out. He's like, no, I'm gonna drive slow to keep my rates low or whatever. Connor Garland is like, you want to go, bro? He just he has that kind of feel to him, and yet at the same time, you're like, yeah, I do want to go, bro. I want to see where this heads.
He was that guy that he was probably like a kid, and his mom was like, no, Connor, you can't have that red freezy before bedtime.
And he punches a hole through the fridge.
Because he just turns into an absolute piss missile. We'll use it again because that's your favorite.
I love it.
When the guy, it's like he's hyper all the time. I just love watching him play.
And then he does something with that. It's useful hyperness.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, fourth year pro. I mean, this is the time last year heading into this year where he's just start to establish himself as a legit pro and a quality player.
I love watching him. I want to know what the next thing. I want to see him go on a tear. A 3 or 4 game.
I think he's on a tear.
He is, but a bigger tear. I'm now asking too much of him. I want to see him get on a goal scoring tear where he does
like a bobsledding split suit at the Olympics tear.
Where he starts doing some crazy things where you're some game you're like, oh, okay, you need to calm down because we like you a lot, but we feel like you're about to explode. And that could end up being a problem for everyone. So let's tone it down, that kind of level, kind of
level. Well, for now, he's on 8 points or 7 points in 6 games. Absolutely. Is it 8? I'm not even sure. So that's my guy, dude of the week.
He leads the Canucks in points. Well, actually, him and Jonathan Tonathan lead with 8 points. Better clip though. 3 goals, 5 assists. You gotta like that. So. I mean, bang on. You got it. I'm going to go with the man that's leading this team with a C on his chest, the captain, Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat, to me, right now, is if things are going wrong, Bo Horvat makes them right. And it comes at just the most random moment. You're like, yep, we did need that right now. And I'm glad it's you because he's just there. But he's been doing this for a while. We need a clutch goal, and we haven't had one. Bo Horvat, of course. That's who I was thinking too. He isn't the team's best player, but he seems to be their best player when they need somebody to step up. And eventually it will be hopefully Pettersson.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, JT Miller is up there as well. He's got 8 points. He's doing it in the JT Miller way. He's kind of pissed off still. But Bo Horvat's just out there. I mean, he's scoring goals. He just scored again last game. I mean, the guy's got 4 goals on the season already and an assist. Where am I looking here?
It's just very reminiscent of it's Linden, right? I mean, was never the team's best player, but it was always a guy when he had the puck where you were just like,
I'll get it done.
Yeah.
Like, if you need this from me, I will do it. He's kind of like old reliable, old faithful, but he's still fairly young. So, Bo Horvat, you're my dude of the week. Thank you for being a Vancouver Canuck. I appreciate it. I really do. That pretty much brings us to the end of this show because you guys suck and no one leaves us questions. We get it. We're the 80th or 40th best Vancouver Canucks podcast. And I think we probably pigeonholed ourselves by relying on the power play, which they're at 23.1%. Not good enough quite yet. It's still quite predictable. It looks to be still the same power play that we saw last season, but I know there's room for improvement, and I think they will improve. So we've got that to look forward to, as well as the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow. Maybe Gritty will get on that plane, come to Vancouver.
Do you think, so maybe Gritty gets on the plane. Do you think Pods gets back into the lineup?
I think he was practicing with the top 6 today. So he's a blue jersey apparently means that you're in top 6. So it sounded like he's going to probably slate back in. So, I mean, we're going to go through this a lot this season. He's a guy we all want to see, and we all want to see him do well. And he probably needs to do well on that in that top 6 of some capacity. So give him the opportunity. Absolutely. I think we talked about this in the offseason. See what he can do. Like maybe him and Connor Garland and Bo just become magic together. Who knows? But give it a try. It's early enough. There's no must-win games yet. They may look like it later in the season, but you can afford to lose a game here or try some stuff. You've got talent to play around with. You know, throw a couple darts at the board, see what sticks. Let's try to hit a bullseye every now and then. So, any final words with you, sir?
No. I think I'm good to go. I think I've said everything that needed to be said.
I feel like we covered everything we needed to cover, including that BattleBot segment, which I had no idea was going to go there.
Hey, neither did I.
Thank you for making that a better segment than I had planned. That was great. Went from Monster Garage, which I figured, I don't know if it's going to have legs. I don't know, but it did. You saved it. You saved the show today.
No, this is the twisted and weird mind of Ryan.
And I'll own up on that. So this has been a fun one. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We always like coming out here, chatting Canucks, chatting some hockey. Hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about next week. It's still early days. If you were in Australia, shout out to my brother-in-law who is. And thanks for listening to the PP1 podcast or watching us on the Dean Blundell Network. Big things are coming, folks.
Mm-hmm.
You be ready. We'll be ready for you. Thanks everybody.
You don't even know enough to know that you don't know.
My mind is blown. So on behalf of Ted, I'm Ryan, PP1 Podcast. Have a great evening. Peace out.